Now we will focus on the radio regulations. The radio regulations is an intergovernmental treaty text of the ITU, and the aim of the regulations is to help achieve optimal international management of the radio spectrum, especially where international or cross-border issues are important. It defines the allocation of different frequency bands to different radio services, the mandatory technical parameters to be observed by radio stations, but also procedures for the coordination and notification of frequency assignments made to radio stations by national governments. And there also includes other procedures and operational provisions. The RR is drafted at WRCs, and here we see also that in the latest almost 20 years we had a number of WRCs held in Geneva and in Istanbul. And the most recent published version of the radio regulations is the edition of 2012, and it contains the complete text of the radio regulations as adopted and revised by WRC 12, including all articles, appendices, resolutions, etc. The RR content is about Chapter 1, Terminology and Technical Characteristics, Chapter 2 on frequencies, Chapter 3 on coordination, notification and recording of frequency assignments and plan modifications, Chapter 4 on interferences, Chapter 5 administrative provisions, and Chapter 6 on provisions for services and stations. Chapter 7 is dealing with distress and safety communications, while Chapter 8 is about aeronautical services. Chapter 9, maritime services, and Chapter 10, provisions for entry into force of the radio regulations. Some key principles of the radio regulations is that members shall endeavor to limit the number of frequencies and the spectrum used to minimum. That also members shall bear in mind that the radio frequencies and the geostationary satellite orbit are limited natural resources, and they must be used rationally, efficiently, and economically. All stations must be established and operated in such a manner as not to cause harmful interference to radio services or communications of other members or of recognized agencies, operating agencies. The key objectives of the RR are to facilitate equitable access, to ensure the availability and protection from harmful interference, the prevention and resolution of cases of harmful interference by different administrations, to facilitate the efficient and effective operation, and to regulate new applications of radio communications technology. The world is divided in 3 regions, which are generally sufficiently separated that radio transmissions in one region will not affect another. This enables different frequency allocations in different regions when needed. The table of frequency allocations is the key part of the radio regulations. It has 3 columns, each of which corresponds to one of the regions. Services are listed in alphabetical order, and the order of listing does not indicate relative priority within each category. There are often numerous footnotes that qualify or explain further the allocations. This is a typical page of the radio regulations where you can see the 3 regions and the various allocations for the various services over the world, and some of the footnotes for illustration. Then about the Master International Frequency Register. The international rights and obligations of administrations in respect of their own and other administrations' frequency assignments shall be derived from the recording of those assignments in the Master International Frequency Register, or from their conformity, where appropriate, with a plan. Any frequency assignment recorded in the Master Register with a favorable finding shall have the right to international recognition and protection. For such an assignment, this right means that other administrations shall take into account when making their own assignments in order to avoid harmful interference. If harmful interference to the reception of any station whose assignment is in accordance with the register is actually caused by the use of a frequency assignment which is not in conformity with the register, the station using the latter frequency assignment must, upon receipt of advice thereof, immediately eliminate this harmful interference. and that is most of the time done by Appendix 10, a report of harmful interference. So dealing with interference, that administration shall cooperate in the detection and elimination of harmful interference, and where practicable and subject to agreement by administrations concerned, the case of harmful interference may be dealt with directly by their specialized designated monitoring stations or by direct coordination between their operating organizations. Special attention should be given and the highest priority should be given to interference on distress and safety frequencies and frequencies used for the safety of flight, and they require an absolute international protection. As a commentary, this sets out the basic rules that administrations must work together in partnership to resolve interference and do not favor their own uses of radio spectrum over those from another country. A summary on the regulations. The RR are the key output of the ITUR. They provide a table of frequency used across the 3 regions of the world. They set out a range of requirements and good practice on transmitters and receivers, and it covers the approach to be adopted for resolving interference.